Thank you for joining my live Q&A. If you do have any questions about physical therapy for multiple sclerosis or multiple sclerosis symptom management or exercises, feel free to drop them in the comments below and I can answer them on this call or on another call. And I'm just going to jump right into the questions. So for those of you who might not know me, my name is Dr. Gretchen Hawley. I'm a physical therapist and a multiple sclerosis certified specialist. I have 7 questions. I'm going to be looking over here because I have my computer here with the questions. So I'm going to start with what these 7 questions are and answer them. If we have time at the end and more come in the comments, then I'll try to answer those. If not, I will answer them. I'll just save them for a different Q&A session. So I'm going to tell you the 7 questions first, and then I'm going to start answering them. The first one, what do you think of NMES and how should it be used? Second question, what do you think of Bioness? Third question, I have just recovered from COVID and my legs are weak. Do you have strength exercises for them? Fourth question, what are some exercises I can do to help with balance? Fifth question, what do I need to do to prevent future mobility problems? Number 6, how to walk longer distances and improve endurance. And number 7, how long does it take to start to see some improvement? So all of these are great questions and I received a ton. These are some that are the main topics that people are asking about. Let's see, someone says, I've been following you on all platforms. How do you feel about Nordic ski walking poles? Let me write that down. Nordic ski walking poles. And I can address that too. My short answer is, I think they're great. I'm a big fan of them. So let's jump into question number 1. So what do you think of NMES and how should it be used? NMES, for those that don't know, is neuromuscular electrical stimulation. So this is Bioness, which is our second question. The walk aid, sometimes people buy other types of devices where you put electrodes, those sticky things on your legs or wherever you're trying to get muscles to work. So NMES is a way to use electricity, in a sense, to fire your muscles. So you are using this electrical stimulation to get your muscles to work. Normally, these muscles work on our own just from a reflex or from actively thinking, bend my leg, lift my leg up, lift my foot up for foot drop. But as we all know with MS, the message doesn't always get there, so the movement doesn't always occur. So NMES is a good way to see if you can get some strength with something else providing that electrical activation instead of just your brain. So I personally do think it's a good idea to try it. With that said, some people don't tolerate NMES very well. They just find that pins and needles sensation when it's on, they find that very annoying or even painful. So it's not for everyone, but I would always suggest trying it. There's no harm done to try some type of NMES. And I just want to say now, because I forgot to say it earlier, anything I mentioned here is not to specifically treat, evaluate, diagnose, anything like that, any one person. It's just general education on these questions. So I am a big fan of NMES, and the second part of that was how should it be used? It should be used for strengthening. NMES, the whole point is to strengthen your muscles, which is different from TENS or TENS. That is transcutaneous electrical nerve stimulation. And that is more so for pain relief. So there is a big difference. Sometimes people will buy TENS units and they come home and they're so excited to get stronger and they're noticing that it's not really working. It's because that's very different than NMES. So hope that answers your question. The second question was, what do you think of Bioness? So Bioness is a form of NMES and I think it's great. There are 2 different options. You can have an option that's just for the ankle to activate the muscles so that you lift your ankle up and prevent foot drop. Or there's another option where you get that plus a thigh attachment, which can also help you bend your knee. And again, this works great for some people and for others it hardly works at all. So I would always suggest trying it out. The great thing about NMES devices like the 𝐲𝐻 or the Bioness is that you can almost all, I'm going to say almost because I'm not 100% sure, but in my experience, you've always been able to get a free consult. So if there's an orthotist near you, the Hanger Clinic is one that I know a lot of people go to. The Hanger Clinic usually has the 𝐲𝐻, but you have to go somewhere else for the Bioness. Go try it on, see how it feels, see if you like it, and see if it would be a good fit for you or not. The biggest downfall of the Bioness is that it is pricey, and insurance companies often do not cover NMES. So just keep that in mind. Question number 3, I have just recovered from COVID and my legs are weak. Do you have strength exercises for them? So I want to point out this person specifically is just recovered from COVID. However, when you have MS, it is so important to understand that even if you just have a cold, COVID obviously is much more intense than a cold, but if you have COVID, a cold, the flu, any type of illness or infection, a UTI, that can affect your walking, your strength, your balance, everything. So if you are recovering from something like that, give yourself some grace, give yourself some time to recover fully. I have had clients in the wintertime who get the flu and it takes them a month to get back to where they were before the flu, even though their flu only lasted a week or maybe even less. So the first note on that is give yourself some grace if you are going through a cold or infection of some sort. And in terms of do you have strength exercises for them? Yes, there are tons of exercises. For those of you who don't know, I do have an online MS wellness program called The Missing Link, where there are tons and tons of MS specific exercises that focus on neuroplasticity to get stronger and walk better, improve better balance. However, I will say that the best thing that you can do to improve your strength, especially after something like COVID or an infection, the best thing that you can do is to make your day-to-day life a series of exercises. If you're feeling weak when you stand up, then practice standing up multiple times. If you feel weak and out of control when you're sitting down and you just plop down, then practice sitting down slowly as an exercise. Or if it's challenging for you to squat down to get something out of the refrigerator or to get something out of a lower shelf, then practice squatting as an exercise. So this is personally my favorite way to exercise in general, but especially after you have had an illness. So that is what I would suggest for that. For strength exercises, do those things, standing up, sitting down, squatting, those things that are hard for you to do. If getting in and out of bed is hard for you to do, practice getting in and out of bed as an exercise. Maybe you do that 5 times in the morning, maybe try again in the afternoon if you can. If not, before bed, do it several times so you're getting those functional movements back and getting strength in those movements. Question number 4. What exercises do you have to help with balance? So great question. I get this question all the time. Again, there is an entire balance section in The Missing Link, but what I would tell you for balance is the most important thing is to become aware of what types of balance. Balance is something that often a lot of people have difficulty with, and they think it's just this one thing, like Dr. Gretchen, help me with balance. But there's so many different types of balance. So the first step is knowing what positions do you feel off balance in. Do you feel off balance in a staggered stance where one leg, like you're walking and then you freeze, where one leg's forward and one leg's back? Or do you feel off balance just standing regularly, both feet about shoulder distance apart? Or maybe with your feet closer together? What positions do you feel off balance in? And that is the position that you should practice balance. So if you feel fine with your feet shoulder distance apart, but if you have one foot in front and one foot in back staggered and that's challenging, practice standing there as a balance exercise. Or if it's challenging for you to stand with both feet together, practice that as a balance exercise. The second piece of this is not just practicing the position that is unstable for you, but also the exact movement. For example, I have a lot of clients who have difficulty with balance while they're walking. So we practice balance. We go really slow and practice balance while you're walking. Or another common one is difficulty balancing while you're reaching for something, potentially on a counter, in a closet, something like that. So practice reaching for things that are just out of reach and see if you can maintain your balance while doing those movements. Moving on to the next question, which is how to prevent future mobility problems. And this goes back to the third question. So the third question was, do you have strength exercises for after recovering from COVID? Though that advice that I gave of just move throughout your day and do those as your exercises, that's the best thing that you can do to prevent future mobility problems, is just keep moving now, even if it's harder. Even if it's so challenging and your legs feel like bricks or you have so much fatigue, there are so many different ways that you can keep active and modify exercises on the days that you do feel fatigued. So fatigued that you can't even get out of bed, there are bed exercises. Or if your legs just feel like bricks and you can't even fathom getting up to practice walking, there are seated exercises that you can do. Again, those are all in the missing link, but some of my favorites are seated marching. If you're lifting up one leg then the other, that's going to help with things like walking and things like moving around in your chair, getting into different positions, things like stair climbing, things like getting into and out of bed, getting into and out of a car. That seated marching, seated and lift one leg up then the other, that exercise can help with all of those things. So to prevent future weakness in those areas, that's one of the exercises you can do. In practicing the things that are getting harder as your exercises. Or if you're in a position right now where things aren't hard and you're just trying to be proactive, then what are you trying to be proactive about? If walking is something that you're trying to be proactive about because you don't want to lose the strength that you have there, then break walking down into all the different movements. There's 7 movements that are required to walk. Do those 7 movements as your exercises. So that way you're getting the strength, you're improving your strength now so that if your disease does progress, hopefully you wouldn't notice it in your weakness as much because you're starting off at such a stronger point. So that's what I would suggest to prevent future mobility issues. Keep moving as much as you can now, even if some days it's limited and it's exercises sitting in a chair or in bed. Moving on, next one, how to walk longer distances and endurance. So to walk longer distances and have improved endurance, that does require that you have endurance in the muscles, and there is a way that you can improve that. So when people usually come to me and tell me their goals, they'll usually say, Dr. Gretchen, I want to walk better. And that is just so generic. Walking better could mean so many different things. Walking better could mean I need better balance with walking, or I need to stop tripping over my foot because I have foot drop when walking, or I want to walk longer distances and I want to be able to pick up my speed with walking. So those all require different types of exercises. So for this question, it was how do I walk longer distances? So what I do with my clients for walking longer distances is pick a time or a distance. How far can you walk right now? Let's just say you can walk for 5 minutes or however many feet or yards or whatever it is, however you like to measure distance for yourself. What is that? So in this example, we'll say 5 minutes. So if your goal is to walk for 10 minutes, then you wouldn't just walk from 5 minutes to 10 minutes. That would be really challenging and really fatiguing, and therefore you'd probably have bad quality. So if you're certain that you can walk for 5 minutes, the next time you walk for 5.5 minutes. And then the next time, if that felt okay, walk for 6 minutes. If that felt okay, walk for 6.5 minutes, literally just adding 30 seconds at a time. And you might get to a point where you only add 15 seconds. You also might get to a point where you're stuck at 6.5 minutes for a while. Do that for a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, however long you need, before you bump it up to 6 minutes and 45 seconds. And then 7 minutes. So this process of walking longer distances can take a while, because you need to be listening to your body. And if it ever feels too challenging, too fatiguing, you probably shouldn't increase it right away, because your body needs to acclimate to the new level that it can do. 6.5 minutes, if that's where you're stuck, that's more than 5 minutes. So that's great. Or if any time you try to do it more than 5 minutes, and that's where you get stuck, then try to do 5 minutes consistently. How many days a week can you do 5 minutes? Or can you do 5 minutes and then 5 minutes and 10 seconds, 5 minutes and 15 seconds, 5 minutes and 20 seconds, literally just go really slow with increasing the distance that you're walking or the time that you're walking. That is what I usually suggest in order to improve endurance and improve endurance and distance with walking. The last question that I got that was entered for today was, how long does it take to start seeing some improvements? And I love this question because it takes a different amount of time for everyone. And for those that don't know, neuroplasticity is the reason, and what research proves, that someone with MS can actually get stronger and can walk better and can get better balance and improve flexibility and all these things, because our brain is actually able to rewire itself to make those movements happen. But we don't know how long it takes, and it requires practice and practice and practice, like time and time and time again, in order to get that neuroplasticity to kick in. So I will say that I have had some clients who I'll give them an exercise for foot drop because that's something that they have difficulty with, and they can't do it at all. And then I give them this exercise, they go home, they practice it for a week, maybe 2 weeks, they come back, and the next time they come back, they can do the exercise. They can lift it. It's not full movement, but they can lift it a heck of a lot more than they could the time before with me. And the reason for that, when that happens, it's because that connection from your brain down to your ankle was there, but you just haven't been using it in the right way or at all, because your body, unbeknownst to you, has been using other muscles to overcompensate. So as soon as you remind your brain and muscles and nerves what it should be doing, it kind of acts as if, oh, that's what you wanted me to do? Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, let's do that now when we walk. So that if your body goes through that, you will notice improvements. I would even say within 2 times of doing it, or even a week or 2 weeks. And then on the other end of the spectrum, there are some exercises and some movements and muscles that take a long time before you'll notice an improvement, years even. So in that case, if you are doing an exercise and you feel like, what the heck, I haven't noticed any improvement yet, am I doing the right thing? What I would encourage you to do is write down, what are you trying to get better at? So if you're trying to notice an improvement with hip flexion, so like that seated marching exercise, you're sitting, you're lifting one leg up and down, then the other leg up and down. Where did you start? Were you able to lift the leg at all, or literally zero movement? And then if in a couple months from now you feel like you're not getting any better, check in with yourself again. Were you able to lift your leg 1 centimeter or 2 centimeters or 3 centimeters? That is slow, almost minute and minuscule improvement, but it's improvement, and it does mean that there is that connection there. Or something else, if you are trying to improve walking and you're noticing that your walking isn't getting any better, again, break it down. Are you truly not getting any better? For walking, can you truly not go any longer distance? Can you truly not balance any better? Are you still pretty wobbly when you're walking? Are you scuffing your foot as often? Is it every single step like it used to be? Or now is it 4 out of 5 steps instead of 5 out of 5 steps? So making sure that you are keeping track of all the tiny improvements. And if there's still no improvement, then either it's going to take a longer time, or let's get different exercises. Let's switch it up a bit so that you are getting the right muscles to work in a different way. So I know that's kind of a wishy-washy answer, but it can be, in order for muscle strength to improve, it could take literally anywhere from a week or so all the way up to a couple of years. The most important thing I want you to take away from that is neuroplasticity, again, has been proven to help people with MS actually get stronger. So if you aren't noticing those improvements, keep in mind that the only way to get neuroplasticity to work, the only way to actually get stronger is to repeat the exercises, repeat the specific exercises for your limitations over and over and over again, even if there is no movement at all. So those were the 7 questions that I received. I will look through some more questions that are coming in here. And again, if you have other questions that you want me to answer on a later Q&A, also drop them in the comments below, or you're more than welcome to email me. But I hope that was able to clear a lot of things up for you. So let's see, can someone over 60 who finds going up steps ever improve doing so? Can someone over 60 who finds, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so climbing steps, there are so many exercises you can do for climbing steps. Climbing steps requires bending your knee, lifting your ankle up, lifting your knee up, single leg balance, not pulling yourself with your arms, but having enough strength to use a little bit of arm strength. So stair climbing, or even if it's just 1 step or 2 steps, there are exercises that you can do for that, and just practicing that over and over again. Now again, one thing that I haven't mentioned yet, something that is challenging is when you have weakness, but maybe there's not even that much weakness, that your limitations are from spasticity. So your legs are so, I'm using legs as an example, your legs are so tight that that's why you can't go up the stairs, or that's why you can't get into your car. So for that, it would be more stretching exercises, and there are multiple different ways to stretch and multiple different muscle groups to stretch. But that is where you'd want to do stretching versus strengthening, or both at the same time. Someone says that was very helpful. Thank you. You are welcome. Thanks for joining. I'm going to try to scroll up. Let's see. So this question, what happens to an MS patient that is not on Copaxone even though their doctor thinks that they need to be? I'm a little confused on this question. What happens to a patient that's not on this drug even though their doctor thinks they need to be? I'm not sure how to answer that question. If a doctor has prescribed a disease-modifying therapy like Copaxone and the patient is not on it, it might be for insurance reasons or financial reasons or access. That would be my best guess. But if you are having any issues getting any of the medications or anything that your doctor is prescribing, reach out to your doctor. They often do want to know, if you're having difficulty getting access to any of those, and sometimes they might be able to reach out to the right people to help you get access. This person says there are 2 rules of thought: a PT exercising with your AFO, KAFO, or other devices, or not using them. I love this question. What do you think is best for the patient? Okay, so and we're getting a little long, so this will be the last question I answer, but let me recap this because it's a really important one. So the person is asking, there's 2 thoughts. Thought number 1 is doing your PT exercises with your AFO, your ankle foot orthosis, or KAFO, your knee ankle foot orthosis, or other devices. And those things are 9 times out of 10 used for foot drop. So it's usually a brace or something like that. And so the one thought is do your exercises with those on, and then the other thought is do your PT exercises without those braces on. And you're right, every PT has a different thought. My personal thought is I always have my clients take those devices off if it's safe. which most often it is safe because I'm either with them in the PT clinic or they have something around them to do their exercises where they can hold on to something and they won't fall over. I like to do those exercises without the devices on. It might be balance exercises or strength exercises. And my logic behind that is if someone has the device on, they are often using the device for stability because that's the reason it's there. That's the whole point of using that device. But when you're trying to strengthen your muscles, I personally don't want you relying on something else. I don't want you relying on that device. I want you using your muscles to do that. So you're right, this person who asked the question, there are different thoughts. My personal thought is I do not want my clients specifically doing their PT exercises with the device on because I don't want them to use that to compensate instead of using the muscles that we're trying to strengthen. So great question. I know I said that would be my last question, but let me just scroll up and see if there's any quick ones. Someone said they loved this live. I'm so glad. Someone's been following me on all platforms. Okay. Yeah. And so for the Nordic ski walking poles, I'm a big fan of those. I think that they make walking easier and therefore you can have better quality when you're walking, and quality is everything with neuroplasticity. So I am a fan of Nordic ski walking poles. I would just suggest to find a way to use them that works best for you. There's multiple ways. So that is what I've got for you guys today. Thank you for sending in these questions. Again, if you do have any other questions for me that you want me to answer on a live or a recording, then please just let me know. Drop them in the comments below. Shoot me an email. If you wanted to know more information about the missing link, my online MS wellness program, that is also in the link in my bio and also in the comments below. So you can watch a behind the scenes video to see if that's something that you would even be interested in or not. And if you have any questions on that, again, shoot me an email. Have a great night, guys.